Hi guys, it's Mark Zickery, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Mark Zickery of Space Command, and I'm here to tell you my experience with Barbenheimer. Yes, the Oppenheimer film combined with Barbie. And I did not see them on the same day because my head would have exploded, but I saw Oppenheimer first and then today Barbie. And I wanted to give you my take on the two movies. First of all, they're both very good films from my vantage point. The work of artists with singular visions that I think are wonderfully acted, wonderfully realized. Barbie, I think, has some challenges, but it has more difficult subject matter, interestingly enough, because I think that on the atom bomb, we can say, okay, well, you know, it led to the Cold War, it led to much more horrible weapons and so forth. So there's going to be much more of, I think, of a unanimity of opinion on Oppenheimer than on Barbie. But let's get into it. So let's start with Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan's film. I thought that was just wonderfully realized. I thought the way they evoke the era, the way they evoke the personalities of these different brilliant scientists, from Edward Teller to Niels Bohr to Einstein to Oppenheimer himself, was just superlatively done. The casting's great. Cillian Murphy is terrific as Oppenheimer. In the past, both Sam Waterston and David Strathairn have played Oppenheimer, both very good actors, and you can go onto YouTube and check out their performances, which are very, very good. But I think Cillian Murphy caught something that their performances didn't catch, because if you've ever looked at film of the real Oppenheimer, and you can see his interviews with him on YouTube as well, which is, you know, my favorite network, first of all, he was thin and in his youth good looking and always very striking looking. He had piercing blue eyes, and whenever he spoke, there was this interesting melancholy air, this strange remove, but also a charisma and a fascination with listening to him, and a spirituality as well that was in conflict with, of course, what he had accomplished in the world in terms of destructiveness. So really, I think it really tells the story well. And some critics have said, well, there's this piece missing or that piece missing. But again, it covers a lot of ground. The 3 hours goes by fast, and it also focuses on his ultimate fall, where his security clearance was taken away in the 50s because of the enmity of one man who was very petty and small and would not be remembered today if not for his contretemps with Oppenheimer. But it's an amazing film. It's in black and white and color. Sorry about the dogs, guys. Black and white and color, and the color stuff is from Oppenheimer's perspective. The black and white stuff is primarily dealing with Robert Downey's character, and but it's got a terrific cast, and the cast is full of movie stars who are sublimating their big personalities to play the roles. So Robert Downey is not doing a typical Robert Downey character, or Matt Damon is not doing a typical Matt Damon character. They are in service to the story and to Nolan's vision, and that's as it should be. In terms of Los Alamos, the Manhattan Project, they built those buildings, recreating them for this movie. It's phenomenal in that way. And the fact that Christopher Nolan utilized practical effects to create an atom bomb explosion is, again, amazing. So I give this movie my wholehearted thumbs up. And also Edward Teller, who's sort of, in some ways, one of the villains of the piece. He's the father of the hydrogen bomb. I remember him when he was alive, because he was, at that time, trying to get the neutron bomb to be built, the bomb that ostensibly would save the buildings and kill the people. And so again, you know, when you get into this territory, you're on this interesting seesaw of, on the one hand, this deterrence. You know, we can speculate that the reason we didn't have a third world war was because it became so horrible. The weapon was so horrible that it was unthinkable. Because for the first time, you know, we live in a science fiction world, and you know, prior to the atom bomb, it wasn't possible for mankind to wipe out the planet. Whether it would wipe out all life on Earth, you know, life would probably survive, but mankind might not, and certainly civilization would not. And but it's a science fiction idea. Prior to that, that was explored in books like The World Set Free by H.G. Wells, and also the idea of mankind being wiped out was explored in things like The Scarlet Plague by Jack London and The Last Man by Mary Shelley. But the idea that mankind could destroy itself was not a reality until the atom bomb, and now it is. And it's funny because science fiction keeps encroaching on our lives, because now, of course, the writers and the actors are on strike over, among other things, AI. The fact that a computer intelligence could take over acting jobs, writing jobs, and far more, of course. And that's reality. Again, something that was only in science fiction in things like Colossus, The Forbidden Project, or 2001 with HAL 9000 now becomes a very pressing reality. And so Oppenheimer, swell movie, dark subject, very interesting subject. And it's kind of a man's story, even though there are several terrific female performances by Emily Blunt and Florence Pugh, really well done. It's about men getting together to make this all happen. And so on the flip side is Barbie, which is very much a woman's story from a woman's point of view. Now, some men, like my friend the Critical Drinker, have felt that it was anti-male, and he was advising people not to go see it because it's just, angry screed against men. I don't agree. My parents were divorced when I was 3. I was raised by my mother. I have great sympathy for women and great understanding and empathy for the raw deal that women get in this world. The fact that the Equal Rights Amendment did not pass, the fact that rights are being taken away, what you see is happening in other countries as well. It's just unconscionable. This is half the population, if not more, and they have fewer rights than their male counterparts. And that's just not fair, just not right. But this movie takes on the patriarchy, and you might disagree with it or you might not. But remember, the ones who, if there's a wrong being done, you cannot, as the oppressor, say, well, I don't see that. Or you can say that, but you don't have a valid opinion, because it's the people who are being screwed over that are being screwed over. And if they're saying we're being screwed over, you should tend to listen to them, because usually it's true. Whether it's Native Americans, black people, women, any oppressed minority, the disabled, it's good to have empathy and compassion and not always take the side of those in power. Just a personal opinion, but in terms of Barbie, I thought it was a big subject, and I think Greta Gerwig and her husband Noah Baumbach, who co-wrote the script with her, and Greta Gerwig, of course, directed Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling and many other wonderful actors. Will Ferrell's great in it. I personally found it incredibly entertaining. I thought the visual design was phenomenal, and it's tackling a big, difficult subject, which is, okay, in a world where one sex has sway disproportionately over the other, what do you do about it? How do you fix it? And it's not an easy answer at all. And and they kind of let that sit, with it not coming up with utterly fulfilling solutions, because in the real world there really isn't a solution at the moment. It's tricky, because anytime you remove power from somebody, the other person may feel equal, but certainly someone will feel that something's been taken away. And again, in my worldview, there's plenty of room for everybody. There's plenty of room at the table, but there are those who sadly don't feel that way. But for Barbie, Margot Robbie's terrific, and Weird Barbie is a lot of fun, and certainly Ryan Gosling has worked out to an inch of his life to develop the chest and abs that his Ken requires, and it's just, it's funny because I grew up during the era of Barbie. G.I. Joe was introduced as a doll for boys, and they had to come up with a name that wasn't doll, and they came up with action figure, and that's fascinating. But I remember Barbie and Ken, and I think I had astronaut Barbie when I was a kid because of, Mr. Sci-Fi. And but it was it's a fascinating double-edged sword, because Barbie started as a sex doll in Germany named Lily, and then was appropriated by Mattel and slightly redesigned to be Barbie. But Barbie was a complete revolution, of course, in toys, because not only was she an adult woman doll rather than a baby doll, but also she was a woman living on her own, a woman who was not dependent on men, a woman who lived in her own house and had her own possessions, and they specifically rejected the idea of her being married, of her having a baby, of her having, doing housework. I mean, these were all conscious decisions on the part of Ruth Handler, her creator. And there's a great podcast called the Barbie Tapes that I highly recommend, which goes into a lot of this history of Barbie and Ken and Mattel. Fascinating stuff. And but that's why I recommend both films, Oppenheimer and Barbie. I think both are extremely well executed and worth your time. I'm very grateful to the whole Barbenheimer phenomenon, because if not for that, I don't think I would have gone to see Barbie. I obviously would have gone to see Oppenheimer. But both are about enormous events that greatly shaped who we are now in our world and what we think and what we believe and what we do. So Barbie is not the atom bomb, certainly. That, I think, had more cast a bigger shadow, but both are significant and both are worthy of exploration. So, and I'm also very glad, by the way, that Margot Robbie has a hit on her hands, because after Amsterdam and Babylon, two films in which she's terrific and films that I actually found worthwhile, those were big flops, and I didn't want her to have her career go into eclipse because of that, because she's enormously talented and deserves every good thing. And I think it'll be very interesting if come the Oscars, Cillian Murphy and Margot Robbie are nominated, which they almost certainly will be. And it'll also be very fun to have Ryan Gosling nominated for Best Supporting, which would be the perfect category considering he's playing Ken. So we shall see what the future reveals. But that's it for now. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm going to be talking soon about a lot of other subjects, UAPs, etc. So keep an eye out for this channel. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. We're close to 100,000. I really want to hit that mark. So, and obviously, if you're interested in supporting Space Command, there's information just below this video that tells you how to do that. And we're going full speed ahead, and lots to talk about very soon. So thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you next time.